No way of getting accurate, realistic motion with cutouts. The easiest thing to do is forget about it completely. In the Christmas card, we used the camel and the wise men. The camel's legs never moved. They just simply slid across like that. Actually, then slid back. Other sorts of movement you can do is a bouncing up and down movement. Again, very simple. The legs are one piece, the body's on another. The hippopotamus bounces into shot and just bounces up and down a bit, bounces on, bounces. Very easy. No work. You can be silly with your walks. That's one of the nice things about cutouts is when you actually start playing with the bits of paper, you find some surprising things happening. This guy walks by having his foot start coming out of his stomach, swings around in an arc until it hits the ground and his body catches up. And then the next foot slides out of his belly and on it goes.
But you don't have to take my word for it.
Now, we're actually going to go through how I make a film, or a film section. First thing is to make a storyboard. That's what this is down here. It's a very crude thing. I understand it, and possibly you will. First frame is a man pushing a pram into shot, pushes it across. Below the shot, I put the sound effects I'm going to use, wheels squeaking, things like that, footsteps. They're walking along. I reckon it's going to take about 3 seconds to get him across, so I mark that down so I remember. He then comes in another shot. You can tell it's another shot because there's a building here, and there's also a little lady waiting for him. Takes about 2 seconds to get the pram in. Pram arrives up to the little lady, pauses for 12 seconds. She then starts to speak, and as she speaks, she starts to bend in. She says, "Oh, what a lovely little..." That's the sort of idea that we do a storyboard on. It's really to remind me as I'm down shooting the thing, because when I'm actually shooting it is when it comes alive. Once I work the storyboard out, I start working on characters. Here's the old man in the pram. The old man, in this case, I airbrushed, because I like airbrushing. The thing is, you could use a photograph, you could use anything, you could use simple drawings. The thing that's nice about airbrushing is it's 3D, and that's the nice thing about using photographs and cutouts. You can't do that in regular peg bar animation. You've got to use simple flat colors. But with cutouts, you can use very round, rich things. Here's the old man. Made 2 legs for him. That's all that's necessary to walk him through. The pram doesn't need anything to be done on the wheels because they're round. You won't see them moving anyway. The old lady's a bit more complex because she's got to bend. So she's in 3 parts. It's the lower part, torso, which fits on like that, and her head. They can all be moved separately, and you can achieve a considerable amount of movement there by just that. The pram is going to have to close, so we've got an extra pram top here, which will fit in behind, and we can animate it close. There's also going to be a fight inside the pram, which we can achieve with just bits of black paper stuck on, changing the positions. There's one position there, there'd be another position somewhere like that. It's fighting in all directions. Then, once I've got the characters, we start coloring them in. I use felt tip markers generally. They're quick, they're easy. You can use anything you want. You can paint. You can use things that are already colored in. Once they're colored in, we cut them out. That's what Bob's doing right now. He's using a scalpel, the kind you buy. You can buy them in art stores. They're medical scalpels, just like doctors use, cutting open your little bodies. They're very good. They're easy and flexible to use, and the blades are replaceable. The key thing when you're doing cutouts is to remember that once they're cut out, you've got to black the edges of the paper with a black felt tip marker. Because without those blacked, you get little white flares coming up when you're actually shooting it, and it spoils the entire illusion. No longer is the thing a rounded image against nice deep background. It's suddenly a piece of paper stuck on top of another piece of paper, and it's gone. It's no good. Once I've got the characters, which are very messy to deal with, it's all little bits and pieces. I usually do a sky, which could be painted, could be a photograph from a book. This one's a photograph which I colored in. I just use simple grounds, which is mainly a shaded piece of color. You can add buildings, you can add trees. Again, cut out whatever you need, put them down. You've created the scene. The old man in the pram is there, and you've got it. One of the problems with all of these little bits of paper, though, is that they are easily misplaced. I think I've lost something already. But what I tend to do is either put them in small little envelopes for each character. Each character's got a little envelope. Or I tape them onto the back in one little piece. I've done some things that were really too big for either envelopes or tape. Vast amounts of little pieces. That's what you're going to see right now. I've now got everything set up to actually shoot that sequence we were talking about. Problem when you're shooting cutout animation is shadows. It's a terrible problem, but we're stuck with it. It's because of all the pieces of paper we've got. This lady, where her head is about 5 layers of paper deep. So what we do we've got to light it first, and we light it with lights as high as we can get. If you can get the lights way up in the air, the better off you are, because you get less shadow. The other thing we use is a large field, again, as big as you can, because it minimizes whatever shadow there is there. And finally, I also use padding underneath. Sometimes I'll put either a felt pad or a foam rubber pad underneath, which cushions it, and pressing down on this Perspex plate, it could be a glass plate, it doesn't really matter, holds everything down tight. Okay, now we're basically ready to shoot now. I've got a template here, like so, which is marked out in little marks along there, which tell me how far to move the pram each time as we're moving in. Using the front of the pram, we can do a shot, move it, move a shot. That's flapped by tape, so we can pull it out of the way when we actually shoot. So assume we're ready to shoot. We've moved into position. There we go. Another thing I've had to do is to tape down all the characters in there, because every time you lift this off, you see what happens. It moves. I haven't actually taped the old man down. I've done it with bits of sellotape. You can just fold it and make a little loop like that, stick it on the back. There's also other types of tapes you can use. There's double-sided tape. There's a new magnetized tape that I've heard about, which I haven't used yet. We're in position now. We've moved the pram. Click, click. We shoot it. Now, lift this up. Template comes in. We move it forward a bit. We've had to move the feet. Say, move it like that. Down. Shoot it. Click, click. Done again. We're now, let's assume we're already into position now, just to save time. We've got the old man stationary. At this point, the old lady starts moving. Move a bit. Again. Flatten. Click. Move. Click, move, click. And she's down. It's as simple as that. The thing is, once you're under the camera, you can play around a lot more, too. You may find things take on special shapes under the camera. Use them. You know, have fun. That's what cutouts is about. Enjoy the fun of playing under the camera.
Oh, what a lovely little... Oh, what a lovely little...
Stop it! Stop right there! This is absolutely disgusting and I'm not going to stand for it. There. Killed.